Welcome to Werezilla's Commentary. I'm your host, Werezilla. Well, I promised you that I would do another commentary at some point or another, and I figured this would be a good point. Seeing as this was yet another, shall we say, milestone for Werezilla's Retrospective, both technically as well as, just my own personal opinions. I always felt that, I got my stride right about here at this video. Mainly because it's, well, one video and not multi-parter. Which, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, I've noticed a trend where the videos, no matter how many parts they have, the more they are, the less views will be in the later parts. Also, this is the first time I ever reviewed a video game, that's for sure, and incidentally, it's also the only one with footage from my own playthrough, which is clear from the opening title where you type your name in screen for the game. What I did was because this was the only computer game I reviewed so far, and therefore was the only one I could actually use a software for. Not to mention finding footage for this game in particular, since it's so obscure. Well, nowadays it is, at least. I mean, back when it came out, it was everywhere. Nevertheless, I was going to ask this one person who did have a little bit of footage, but instead he pointed me in the direction of, well, Bandicom, the tagline that you're going to see in the video itself. And that's really how I was able to do this, and even then, you can still see some of the problems I had, like resizing it, which I wasn't able to go back and fix, which is definitely present in the first level, as we're about to see. Bandicom, yeah, that's it, and as you can see, that's obviously my name there, not someone else's. And don't mistake me, when I do make a video game retrospective, I always ask the person who, if I can use their footage. And if they don't respond, that review is never made, which is why I've never made a review of the Aragon video game, which I was going to do, but I didn't get response, so no review for that. I'm honest, I'm not like Anita Sarkeesian. As for Jurassic Park itself, this is, well, I'm not really exaggerating when I say this. When I say that the series has always been, well, no matter what age range you are, what generation you are, you're going to see this when you're young. You're going to see this when you're into the dinosaurs, which, let's face it, every kid is. And I was looking forward to this game in particular, even though, really, as we go through it, we'll see that it has nothing to do with the third movie. And whether or not you want to say that's a bad thing, that's hard to say. I mean, really, when the movie itself came out, I'm talking about the first movie, obviously, it had loose connections to the book. I mean, obviously, it had things like ranging from drastic character changes, like Hammond, who went from a middle-aged, greedy child hater to elderly, as his actor describes, the dark side of Disney. Nothing of the sort. Maybe I should start talking about the game at least. And this bit right here with the Dino Defender not carrying any friggin' weapons. I mean, that is probably one of the biggest mistakes that someone going to a dinosaur-infested island could possibly make. And the obligatory fuse box count. I didn't include the ding, though, so fair enough. And obviously I had to use a line from the movie, because this was back during that time when I felt I should include lines from various bits of the franchise in the review itself, as well as a cameo for what is going to be the next one, as we'll see at the very end with the Godzilla's Revenge DVD. And this trench issue I'm talking about, it's not as big of an issue in the later levels, like the examples I'm showing here. Nevertheless, it'll happen all the time. And as early as this game was, and as simple as it was, as hard as it may have been to create a stylized version of the... Sorry, had to sneeze. A stylized... Ooh, sorry. A stylized version of the pit that you fell into. And oh, right there. There's another example of my not being able to match it up perfectly with the scene. Or, sorry, the frame. And this part right here was, I don't know if you would call it cheap, like thrown in there like that, the Birdemic gag, but I felt with the limited animation that is present in this kind of game, which is it's more the fault of just the fact that it's an early game. I mean, with Birdemic, there's no excuse. Nevertheless, I felt the need to make a joke. And as for the T-Rex, Jurassic Park actually got this wrong. It's T-Rex has actually had really good eyesight. Nevertheless, it was used as a gameplay mechanic in this, as well as the companion disc Danger Zone, which was basically a board game on the computer. My friends and I would play it all the bloody time. I mean, I had never seen the ending to this game until I came back and reviewed it, because when I was younger, it was so much harder. I was not accustomed to it, and by now I've played much harder games over the years, and things have been... I mean, this wasn't a cakewalk. I mean, as I've described some of the more annoying parts, which we will get to, you can count on that, and, but this playthrough was definitely the first time I saw the ending, and I'm not gonna lie, I did feel kind of underwhelmed by it. By its, abruptness, really. I mean, you kill the Spinosaurus, which, as I state, is hypocritical at best, because you're not killing any other species on the islands. Now, that in itself may sound hypocritical coming from me, since I advocate bring a fucking gun. But I just want them to be consistent is all. Like, if you're not going to kill, then make sure you stay the course. Some new superhero movies could learn from that. As for my opinion on the Spinosaurus usurping the T-Rex, which we will get to in a little bit, but before I get to that, I really gotta talk about this scene. I honestly lost track of how many times I had to do this part with the tree branches, and I wasted so much of my time, and so many... I think it must have been like over an hour of trying to do this one part. And it's not just the tree branches as well. There's a part I don't include, which, although I do show footage of it, it's where you're at the branches, or not the branches, the bottom of the waterfall, and it's an actual instinct to keep moving, and you just forget to jump, and that causes one of the many pitfall deaths. And when you're on an island of dinosaurs and the pitfalls are your dangerous enemy, there's a bit of a problem there. But back to the T-Rex and the Spinosaurus issue, people have always felt that the T-Rex losing was kind of a cop-out, really, and it was just an excuse to make the Spinosaurus seem tough. It's what they call the Worf effect, and, well, I'm gonna trust you already know what that is, since I believe my viewers are smart. So, as far as what I felt about it, I felt that, as a kid, when I saw it, I'm thinking to myself, this can't be right. It's gonna come back, right? We're gonna see the T-Rex again, right? Nope, it was gone for the entirety of the third movie. We were with the Spinosaurus, and like with the eyesight thing, it's pretty much inaccurate with the way the Spinosaurus does it in the movie by breaking the T-Rex's neck. There is no possible way it could do that. The Rex's neck is much too thick for that to happen, and before I knew this, people would be asking me this kind of thing in high school, and they would ask me who would win for real, and back then I would tell them that, well, basically what I had known at the time. T-Rexes and Spinosaurus lived at two different opposing ends of the Cretaceous era. One lived in the early, one lived in the late, and, well, therefore there never could have been a confrontation between either species. And the Dino Dick scene, yeah. I missed it, but you get the idea. Funny thing, I mentioned God of War, even though it shows, female monster nudity, but not male monster nudity, even though it was planned, like the Cyclops in those games. They were originally going to show Cyclops' dick, and they decided against that. So, funny I use God of War as an example when it doesn't actually use that particular example that this game was willing to use. An E-rated game. I guess as far as how I felt about the third movie in comparison to the third game, or sorry, as far as this game is concerned, it's, well, it's average. It's not following its source material, and, well, when you have an excuse plot like the third movie, and you're not really going to be using characters from it, you kind of have to do some liberties, and the Dino Defender was certainly one. And I'm imagining the power armor was basically so we can have a faceless protagonist that really, it's one of those instances where you have to project yourself on the characters, so the character itself is a blank slate, which is how Link really is, despite the way I described him in my Legend of Zelda review. Nevertheless, as I say, the power armor, it feels arbitrarily tacked on because, well, you're no less durable with it than you are as any of the characters from the movie. And that does make one wonder just how out of place the Dino Defender could be. Since everyone else is, well, obviously, human beings without armor. And these animations, it's not bad. I really don't think it's that bad. I mean, all things considered, the time frame in which this came out, 2001, you can't really expect a whole lot. Now, I mentioned the survival game, which is what drops out of the sky and brings me the Godzilla's Revenge DVD. That also is slightly more accurate to the movie, although for some reason Nash in the game on the board game is white. I don't know what the hell's up with that. And Cooper is a playable character, despite the fact that he, well, was the earliest kill in that movie. And we end on the first Werezilla cliffhanger involving Godzilla's Revenge. This was something very early on where I always felt the need to include bits that, well, will hint at what was going on. Sometimes they were pitiful, and other times they were, well, overt like this. And obviously, retroactively, this makes this the start of the Scorponok story arc. And that's all I can say about Godzilla's Revenge and my second commentary. I hope you liked it. I thought it was an improvement for Werezilla's retrospective as a whole, and I hope you guys did too. See you next time.